Here's Brody Brazil.
As I continue to cover this Tampa Bay Rays stadium saga, I'm obviously doing so from several thousand miles away out here in California. And I'm relying on trusted sources, but also my own personal experiences and insights dealing with Major League Baseball and a team and a city and a county entity, just like what's happening here. But from time to time, obviously, I still like to check in on what those on the ground are actually saying. Like, what are the media members saying in Tampa Bay about what's going on? And largely, it feels like what they're seeing is what I'm seeing. Pinellas County and the city of St. Petersburg, they have both voted yes to move forward on this respective deal for one main reason, because they want to hold the Rays accountable to their end of the deal, which they were part of proposing back in the summertime. And even though there's been a small delay of 2 months, they still want to keep baseball. They want to make sure that the Rays hold up their end of the bargain. Let's begin our coverage. We're going to start and stop some of these clips. Watch and listen to what they're saying.
All right, let's talk about the Rays. We move next to our cover story and really the whiplash we're all feeling over the future redevelopment of Tropicana Field. Is it going to happen? Last night, Pinellas County Commissioners approving bonds for the project, but the Rays say too little too late. The team says the delay in this vote now has pushed the redevelopment back, and the team can't afford the overruns.
The overruns.
Let's talk about it. Our Eric Waxley, he was live there in real time.
Hurricane Milton, by the way, early October. No thanks. For me, covering hurricanes, I'll pass on that.
Following the on-again, off-again saga, he was the first reporter on the scene covering the hurricane when it ripped the roof off of Tropicana Field. And he joins me now in the studio today. Eric, this whole thing with the home of the Rays, this saga has been going on for years, as you know, because you've been covering it every step of the way.
Look at that camera pan over to the right. Here we go.
Yeah, and it does have that soap opera feel, really. Now, stadium deals are rarely smooth. This one is getting especially messy. I was in Ybor City when the Rays announced plans for a stadium back in Tampa in 2018. In fact, I asked Rays owner Stu Sternberg that day about the timeline. He told me they hope to be in that new ballpark in Ybor for opening day 2023.
This sounds a lot like the Oakland A's in Howard Terminal.
Yeah, that deal never got the funding to become reality. Then in early 2021, we got our first look at options to develop the 86 acres surrounding Tropicana Field and keep the Rays in downtown St. Pete.
That sounds like the Oakland Coliseum site.
The situation looked promising in January of 2023 when the Rays said they were fully engaged in talks to stay in the city. And things really moved forward this past July when the city council approved the plan to build a new stadium with expected completion in 2028.
Now that, by the way, sorry to interrupt, that is when everybody thought all of this was a done deal. Through 2023 into the summer of 2024, the Rays were here to stay. These renderings, their forever home, everybody agreed, at least in principle, this was the deal everybody thought was done.
Price tag was going to be shared with the city, Pinellas County, and the Rays, estimated at $1.3 billion. As part of the plan, the city would sell the team the surrounding land for $100 million, giving them the rights to develop what's known as the historic gas plant district. But following back-to-back hurricanes, the Pinellas County Commission delayed approving the bonds to pay for its share of the stadium. That's led to a back and forth between the team and county and city leaders. And the St. Pete City Council did approve its bonds earlier this month, finally, and then last night the county did the same. But the Rays now say the delays in all this will push back opening the new stadium to 2029 and add hundreds of millions to the cost. Well, the team says it can't afford those added expenses, and the deal needs to be renegotiated. Commissioner Chris Latvala says he doesn't trust Rays owner Stu Sternberg.
Here we go.
So taking into account your expertise over the last 30 years, have you ever seen a 30-day delay result in a cost overrun that would be in the $100 million or $200 million range?
No. Now, Latvala did say that he trusts Major League Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred and hopes that the wheels are now in motion to actually get the Rays a new owner.
So essentially, you don't trust the Rays ownership, but you trust the person working for Rays ownership. Just to be clear, the power structure there. Okay, back to the clip.
That does seem kind of far-fetched at this point.
And you've done reporting recently talking about how this isn't really unprecedented. These overruns and increase in construction costs have happened in other markets. Like I think it was the Buffalo Bills. They're dealing with the same thing.
Yeah, several cities are. As I mentioned, what's happening here with a contentious stadium situation is something we've seen time and time again. Stadium prices are skyrocketing and often end up costing way more than original estimates. Nashville's new stadium for the Tennessee Titans is up to $2.2 billion.
By the way, it's $1.2 billion publicly funded. Imagine that.
The Bills' new stadium went up more than $500 million. It's now at $2.1 billion. And Las Vegas's stadium authority recently said the price tag of a baseball park for the A's went from $1.5 to $1.75 billion.
And a lot of people think it's still closer to 2, and that 1.75 or 1.7 plus is still short of what it's actually going to be.
And while that stadium is being built, it looks like the A's will play 3 seasons at a minor league park.
At least.
In Sacramento.
So it does happen. And I think you were, this was the image. I think,
memories.
Right.
I really want to showcase that he was out there during the hurricane. Again, I know that's what they do in Florida. That's just not for me.
Of the hurricane, and you were there when the roof was literally getting ripped off in real time. Everyone remembers this, and you were walking us through it, Eric.
I can't even imagine seeing that, by the way. Just not in the sense of a hurricane and what it's doing to a structure, but what it's doing to a place like a baseball stadium, which you go there for fun, and he's probably been there hundreds of times, and now he's watching it get demolished, and maybe he didn't even realize it in the moment. The Rays might have now played their final game at Tropicana Field because of what was happening right there.
Every step of the way as it was happening. And, you've spent a lot of time here. I mean, I grew up here. This was, I don't want to say emotional, but it was kind of like, it was a shame to see this happen.
Like
there's a lot of people.
As much as people rip on the stadium, it's a landmark here, and it's been their home for decades. And
like the Oakland Coliseum.
This situation needed any more hurdles. Hurricane Milton seriously damaging Tropicana Field just did that. Last week, city leaders approved spending $1.7 million to prepare designs to repair the stadium. Total cost to fix the Trop could be almost $56 million. And of course, that would be repairing the stadium only to maybe see it demolished in a few years.
Okay. I don't think that's going to happen.
Okay. The only thing for certain right now is the Rays are playing this coming season at Steinbrenner Field in Tampa, spring training home of the rival Yankees. As for 2026, 2027, and 2028, well, who knows? The Rays say the earliest their new stadium could be ready now is for 2029, but so much has to happen for that all to be reality.
Outdoor baseball. The Rays will finally have it, at least for a year. We'll see how it all plays out. Eric Waxler, thank you, sir.
Yikes. Okay, that's report number 1. Let's get to this next one.
A former mayor of St. Petersburg says he believes the deal with the Rays to build a new stadium is dead.
Whoa.
Bill Foster was elected as the mayor of St. Pete in 2009.
Yeah, now he says, based on what he knows about the Rays owners, he doesn't think a new stadium will ever be built in the city. News Channel 8's Jeff Patterson joins us now live at the Trop. Jeff, you've been covering this for a long, long time. What are your thoughts on this?
I was actually here for opening day, the first opening day ever at Tropicana Field. So yes, I've
Street cred.
been covering this for a long time. But former St. Petersburg Mayor Bill Foster said,
By the way, I like Jeff's voice. That is a true broadcast voice right there. Wish I had that.
that he believes the deal to build a new stadium for the Rays will be officially dead by March.
Wow.
And Pinellas County Commissioner Chris Latvala says it's time for Rays owner Stu Sternberg to sell the team.
Where have we heard that before?
This week, the Pinellas County Commission approved the potential sale of bonds to pay for a new stadium for the Tampa Bay Rays and to develop the land around it. But former St. Petersburg Mayor Bill Foster believes it was all for show.
Everyone is in compliance today. Now we wait. Now we wait until March to see, has Mr. Sternberg been smoked out?
Foster has been in negotiations with Rays owner Stu Sternberg before.
I mean, and this is somebody who would know how these things go, right?
And believes it's likely the Rays owner will bow out of the agreement that has been signed.
By the way, if the Rays get out of this agreement, they also lose the 60-plus acres. They lose control of that at this site. The value of that land alone is going to be hard to step away from, but that might be what they're forced to do other than selling a large portion of the team.
Either he's going to say, okay, we'll do it, even though I hate St. Pete, and even though I never should have done this to begin with, we'll do it, or he's going to take his team and go play somewhere else.
Sternberg says a delay of the bond vote by the Pinellas County Commission has driven up the cost to build a new stadium. Pinellas County Commissioner Chris Latvala doesn't believe that.
A 49-day delay does not cause a $100, $200, or $150 million cost overrun.
And to be clear, I know he said in the prior testimony or the public appearance, he said 30 days and 100 million, and now he said 49 days and 200 million. The bottom line is, though, whether it was a month or 2 months, it doesn't really matter. A short time period of a delay, to Mr. Latvala's point, it should not throw this entire project in the dumpster and make it invalid because the ballpark is coming out one season later. If there was really no fudge factor in there, no insurance kind of plan built in here, then it wasn't a good plan to begin with for the Rays side of things.
Latvala is calling on Stu Sternberg to sell the team.
If the current owner of the Tampa Bay Rays cannot afford the deal that they signed in July, there's really only one thing that he should do, and that's to sell the team.
Wow.
Both Latvala and Foster agree on something else. They believe that there will be no better deal for the Tampa Bay Rays to have a stadium built anywhere in the country. However, if the Rays don't go forward with their portion of this deal, in other words, to break ground and start building a new stadium, that deal terminates on March 31st. Live in St. Pete, Jeff Patterson, 8 on your side.
On my side. Thank you, Jeff. Sorry your eyes are closed there. We got you on the freeze frame. I also want to say, by the way, Utah would love to probably enter this conversation, and their $900 million, they'd love to throw at the Rays, although that's very complicated. Okay, CBS Channel 10.
Tonight, the Tampa Bay Rays' new stadium is moving forward. County commissioners just hours ago approved funding. You're watching Nightside. Thanks for being with us. I'm Courtney Robinson. Dave has the night off.
By the way, can I point out what Courtney is working with in her right hand right there? Little scroll wheel. Pretty sure she's controlling her own teleprompter. It's a pro's pro right there. I don't even have a teleprompter, but if I had one here right now, I'd be working it by myself too. That's what she's doing though.
The vote comes after 2 delays. Tonight, there's still concern on whether the team will hold up its end. 10 Tampa Bay's Miguel Octavio live for us from Tropicana Field. And Miguel, the Rays have said because of delays, it won't have a new stadium in time.
Courtney, the Rays say this new stadium will not be ready until the year 2029. And tonight, the Rays are still blaming the county for this delay and says it cannot afford this new stadium alone. Now, one commissioner is calling for the Rays owner to step down.
Now, the other part about this is, I think what the Rays should be saying is not that we can't do this anymore, but we're going to have to take some time to figure out other investors and other ways. They can't angle this back on the city and county and say, well, it's up to you to help us out. How about anybody else who wants to buy into a share of the team or the project? That just may be what they're forced to do. And I know we talk about selling the team. That doesn't even necessarily mean selling the entirety of the team. Sell a small portion of the team. Sell even 30% of the team to get that liquid capital, to get those assets so that you can afford with the delay in this project. It is as simple as that.
I urge Mr. Sternberg to sell the team to someone who lives here, works here, and truly cares about our community.
Harsh words swung at Rays owner Stu Sternberg from Pinellas County Commissioner Chris Latvala.
Stu Sternberg will always care about his bottom line above all else.
Despite what you heard, Latvala did approve funding the new Rays stadium. His key vote changed after a talk with Major League Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred.
MLB is aware of several instances where the Rays organization has intentionally tried to kill the very deal that they agreed to.
County commissioners voted 5-2 to finance more than $300 million for the new stadium.
All eyes will now be watching to assure that the Rays uphold their part of this deal.
The vote came after more than a month of delays. In a statement, Rays president Matt Silverman wrote in part, quote, "As a result, the cost of the project has increased significantly, and we cannot absorb this increase alone."
Alone, right? So you're still on the hook. You got to figure this out. This is now your situation, and really a 2-month delay, which then pushed the timeline back a full year. Hey, maybe you have to open this stadium mid-season 2008 then, right? If the delay of 2 months causes the delay of a full calendar year of construction, then maybe You know what I'm saying? Maybe you got to play at Steinbrenner Field for an extra couple months at the start of the 28th season before you jump into this. I don't understand how all this works out and how, like Mr. Latvala says, how a 2-month delay costs hundreds of millions of dollars and puts this all out of reach. I just don't understand that.
The team adds it's ready to solve the funding gap with
Sorry. Rooted in Oakland, anybody?
the county and city.
I don't believe there's one commissioner on this board that would be entertaining renegotiating if they're asking for more money.
So what they're just saying is the deal that we just voted on, yes, and the deal that, this is Pinellas County, the city of St. Petersburg voted on, yes, we're all sticking together on what we said yes to, and it's too late for you to back out. We're holding your feet to the fire.
Commissioners say the team will have to figure that out on their own. Supporters, though, say the deal favors the city and the county.
We see growth and prosperity on a whole nother level.
Including former Trop concessions worker Michelle Dyson.
Let's hope the momentum keeps going.
Others still insist the deal favors the team over the people.
This proposal represents a grave misallocation of resources that would harm taxpayers.
Now, the Rays have until March to fulfill all of its obligations. The team's ownership must also come up with about $700 million to fund its share of the stadium deal, Courtney.
And Miguel, tonight we're also hearing from St. Pete Mayor Ken Welch, who commented on the county's vote.
Yeah, in a post on X, Mayor Ken Welch wrote in part that the city is going to continue on repairs for Tropicana Field and also ongoing discussions with the Rays and everyone involved. But bottom line, this deal is not over yet until the Rays fulfill all of its obligations by March. In St. Pete, Miguel Octavio, 10 Tampa Bay.
Man, what a mess. You've got an old stadium that you're not sure what you're going to do with. You've got a new stadium that the county and city have agreed to, but the team is not in on. You've got the potential of relocation in the mix. You got a place like Utah that can't wait to get their hands on baseball. This is wild. Okay, final one here from Fox 13.
First at 5, what is next for the Rays?
I mean, look at that tilted Tropicana Field sign. Yikes.
Just minutes after Pinellas County commissioners approved more than $300 million in bonds for the team to build a new stadium, the Rays threw another curveball.
Good writing. Curveball. I get it.
And they can no longer afford their portion of the project. Fox 13's Evan Axelbank is in the newsroom with where things go from here. Evan.
Haley, the Rays are blaming a supposed increase in costs on the 2-month gap between when they expected the bonds to be approved and when they were actually improved.
I would also approve, by the way. I would also ask, maybe if I'm Pinellas County or St. Petersburg, I'd say, so show us exactly how much this is. Where are these costs? What are these costs? What is out of reach for you? Let us just look at it. We're not saying we're going to do anything to help you fix it. It's not our responsibility, but show us real quick, how much are you talking about here? Because that's another part of this equation. Oh, it's just too expensive. Well, by how much? 5 million, 50 million, 500 million in 2 months?
The team says they can't absorb the costs alone, but the city and county say they'll have to. And if they truly can't, some say it's time for Stu Sternberg to take his bat and ball and go home.
It's just, when it's said like that. But also, you can't force somebody to sell something like this. I mean, as much as everybody wants to. You can't force somebody to sell their home, their car, their property. It's something you learn in these situations.
Hours after his vote helped send $312 million to the Rays, Commissioner Chris Latvala posted a picture of a Tropicana Field model as a symbol of stability.
I would put the possibility of baseball ever leaving this market at pretty close to nil.
Really? Because of what Rob Manfred ever said? That's a pretty bold and confident statement to make, to think that they will not just up and leave and take this team to, I don't know, Orlando? And Mr. Latvala makes a lot of great points and stands up for himself quite well. But to think that this league and this team won't take themselves out of the picture and just go where it's easy, we've seen that happen before.
Latvala believes the MLB commissioner told county officials the league has no appetite to move the Rays.
It would be a mistake if in 10 years we didn't have a baseball team in Oakland, said Commissioner Rob Manfred.
But minutes after the vote, the team highlighted the only remaining question mark. The cost of the project, they say, has increased significantly, and we cannot absorb that cost alone.
If you can't afford it at this point, I think there's only one move for Stu to make, and that's to sell the team.
Officials have pointed out the deal calls for the team to pay for anything above the $600 million the city and county have provided, and that's $600 on the nose.
I don't believe there's one commissioner on this board that would be entertaining renegotiating if they're asking for more money.
If there are shortcomings on the Rays side, they will need to make that up. We think there are a number of ways they can do that.
It's unclear as to what Stu plans next. The Rays blame increased costs on the 2-month delay in bond approvals, which they say forced their contractors to make a full stop. Thus, in their framing, the new stadium can't be ready until 2029.
What were the contractors moving on? There was no go. I mean, I understand they were supposed to break ground in January, but a full stop on what?
Plus, they say their revenue is being crushed by not being in the Trop, which is why the city is moving now to fix it.
That's also going to hurt them in this process. I'm telling you, to not be able to even play at one of the worst stadiums in baseball, to have to go to a minor league complex and facility, just like the A's are doing, it's going to hurt the Rays financially for these next couple years if they're in Steinbrenner Field or somewhere else small for these next couple years.
I don't know how to be more clear. We have a very challenging future ahead of us.
The mistrust between the two sides is palpable, while the team says we remain ready to solve this funding gap together.
Think about it, though. That's like if you showed up to dinner and the check comes at the end of the night and you don't want to pay the full thing and you're like, well, let's all pay this together. Here's my $20, but let's all pay this together. It's like a $300 bill. You know what I'm saying? You're basically saying we want you to help us figure this out. Yeah.
Commissioners asked one stadium expert about the size of the shortfall.
Have you ever seen a 30-day delay result in a cost overrun that would be in the $100 million or $200 million range?
No.
Okay.
No one will go beyond speculation as to whether Sternberg is considering the possibility of finding investors to bridge the gap that he says he faces.
Right.
The Rays did say on Tuesday they've met requirements to receive a $100 million loan from Major League Baseball. They have until March 31st to satisfy 13 aspects of the deal in order to receive their bond money. If they don't, the deal would evaporate, as would control of their land around the stadium. Haley.
All right. Evan Axelbank reporting tonight. Evan, thank you.
That's the 60-plus acres we talked about right next to or right on the site of Tropicana Field that they would lose control over. So there's a lot at stake here. There's a lot of politics. There's a lot of gamesmanship going on right now. I would love if we figured this out sooner than later, just so fans of the Rays can have some understanding and resolution. It appears, though, like right now, and just looking forward in all of this, the votes have taken place. The money has been approved. Now the ball is literally in the Rays' court, if we're going to use like a basketball analogy. But it's up to them now, and they still have several months before they actually even need to do anything. And if the cost is only continuing to rise, then it kind of paints a picture of where this deal is at, not in a good spot, and where it's going, even into a worse spot. That's the end of this video. Thanks for sticking around here till the very final few moments. Thumbs up down below greatly helps me, this video, and this channel. Also, don't forget to go down there and make sure you're subscribed to this channel. That way I can definitely see you back here next time.